Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Virtual Breakfast Session. Today, we've brought a great group of people together to discuss what is that one thing your restaurant or kitchen needs to keep you happy, running, and healthy. Let's introduce ourselves. Stephen, why don't you start?
Sure. My name is Stephen Yen. I'm the executive chef and food and beverage director at Liberty National Golf Club. Previously, I was chef at Tao, Open Catch. I was corporate chef at Grand Banks and, that group for a little bit. What else was, part of Morimoto's omakase team. So been around the block as far as New York City and the culinary world has evolved in New York City, and now living the golf life, I guess.
Great. Thank you. Stratus.
Stratus Barpogan, Brooklyn Shop House, Brooklyn Dumpling Shop, restaurant third generation, New York City.
Thank you.
Author. Yeah, author.
You forgot you wrote a book?
2 books.
Okay.
Not as many as Rocco, but I got 2 books.
Okay.
You're too busy.
And Be a Disruptor.
Okay, with that segue, Rocco.
Hey guys, I'm Rocco DeSpirito. I'm a chef and an author. I'm working on my 14th cookbook as we speak. The host of Kid Chef and a couple of shows on Food Network, and I've run some restaurants in New York City over the years.
All right,
Nice
thank you. Thank you. If you look at a restaurant or a kitchen, there's a million moving parts. But, we're all creatures of habit. We seem to move to that one thing that helps you through the day, that tool or technique or system or product that you use over and over again. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about that one thing. So, Stephen, why don't you start? What do you use every day, all the time in your kitchen?
I mean, this is a really tough question. Ingredient wise, my first initial ingredient, would say salt. It's proper seasoning, right? As far as like the big picture goes, proper leadership. Having the right equipment is important, but having the people, the product in places, I think is the most important. Having that right leader to lead from the front instead of bossing from the office, or, just the chef who doesn't cook, if you will, or, that. I think the proper leadership is really important. I think about an hour ago, I just whipped up a batch of chili in the tilt skillet. But as far as equipment, I love tilt skillets. I like cooking for masses. I'm a big volume chef. I'd rather stir fry in a tilt skillet. I've done a whole pigs in tilt skillets, turned it down to like 250, heat racks in the bottom, went down to 225. I think equipment is really, really, really important, but I think the leadership, having that, I think I don't know if you guys ever saw that movie, Black Hawk Down. There's that one enlisted, staff sergeant. He just walks through the fire. He's not scared of bullets. He's not scared of anything. Having the chef go through the ranks is important, but having that chef who's not afraid of ingredients or afraid of, Ansel goes off. What do? You're not going to shut down, or are you going to shut down? Are you going to clean it up? Are you going to keep going? I've had plenty of Ansels go off on us, and we've cleaned everything up. We've illegally recocked the system and turned the gas back on ourselves. There's at the end of the day, it's for profit. What we do is for profit. So we need to make money. So I think having that business mindset of that leader is really, really important. And that's what I would say is the number one thing every restaurant or kitchen needs.
Let's spend a minute on leadership, because I think it in many ways a lost art. It's not do as I say. Stratus, you run a restaurant empire. Talk about leadership. Talk about how you inspire people.
I never hire people with experience. That's always my greatest strength. When I interview people, from servers, obviously a bartender needs to have skills, but what I hire is for smiles. If they can smile, if they can make the room smile, it adds energy to the room. With technology today, what does a server do? A server's there as just an ambassador, as a host. The runners are bringing the drinks. The runners are bringing the food. They just need to know the menu, and they don't even need to know the wine list limited because I have a somm on the floor. I mean, it's all about that smile. I've seen people come to me and say, I got 30 years experience and I should be somewhere, I should head your team and I should work. I look at it, he's got a smile that makes me want to get depressed. And I rip his resume and I say, next. I have no interest in hiring people with experience when it comes to the service front of the house part of my business. And I've always found success. For example, I have my best waiters and servers in Times Square are school teachers. You got great communication skills. You know, they know how to speak. They're friendly. And all I ask you to smile. If you can smile, you got the job. I don't even read resumes anymore. They're all full of shit. And and that's always been my way. And I found a lot of success. 30 years experience means you've met, most likely in my eyes, because I'm pretty stubborn, you've probably been doing it 30 years wrong. You know, you've been doing it 30 years wrong. And that's a hard habit to break when they do it for that long and they do it wrong.
Thank you. Thank you. Rocco, talk about
Hey,
the kitchen, leadership
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
kitchen.
So many good answers so far. It's going to be hard not to dovetail into some of them. So I'm going to give you a super simplistic answer because in the kitchen, especially for cooks and people who process food every day, it starts with the basics. So I always find myself starting my day with a cutting board. I walk into the kitchen. The first thing I want to do is find the cutting board that I'm going to be in love with for that day. The one thick rubber cutting board that, you know, is not too beat up, but's been used a little bit. You know, it's going to be heavy and you know, it's just going to be your friend for that day. And then the next thing I look for is a paring knife. And then the next thing I look for is a sheet pan, some sheet pan liners, and some hotel pans. And that's the foundation of a cook's station. Then after that, you start looking for ingredients and whatever it is you're going to process. And I think this is a little bit of a metaphor for how you set up a cook or a chef for a successful day by giving them the foundational tools that they need. And a cutting board is often the first thing that you're short on in a kitchen. So a great cutting board, a paring knife, and then, of course, to dovetail into what you said, Chef Stephen and Stratus, being a source of inspiration, mirroring the behavior you want them to copy, to exemplify, being, you know, excited and passionate about what you do, excited to cook, excited to bring in the, you know, the whole hog. I love tilt skillets too, by the way. I love braising short ribs and tilt skillets. One of my favorite things to do to this day. So from the low all the way to the high, basic tools like a paring knife, and then just being a source of inspiration. Super important.
That's fantastic. You know, Stratus, you mentioned the newest member of every restaurant kitchen, technology. You know, you've used it to the max. You're an innovator when it came to that. Tell everybody briefly about the Brooklyn Dumpling Shop and why it's innovative and why you're a leader in this side of the industry.
You know, I come from a Greek diner background. I've had Chinese restaurants for like 15 years. My brother's a chef. My Uncle George was the buyer for the food, the oyster bar. You know, it's in my generation. It's in my blood. But when I wanted to switch because the dumplings became so popular at Brooklyn Shop House, and what I did was a Greek diner kid owning a Chinese restaurant. Well, that's how you get a pastrami dumpling. You know, I just fused the two cultures together. And when the dumplings became so popular, I was really afraid to go into QSR, fast casual, because I was afraid of the numbers. So many fail. You know, this is pre-COVID, labor intensive. A lot of people it's about 7 out of 10 restaurants in 30 months close their doors because they can't meet payroll. So I remember my dad taking me to Horn and Hardart when I was like 10. And I always fell in love with Horn and Hardart. I love the whole novelty of putting the coins in and blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know, then I started reading about Horn and Hardart and why it failed. And it failed in the 70s because technology failed the automat. And ironically, technology is going to bring the automat back because we created with Panasonic the Tesla of automats. This automat is controlled by your smartphone. And that leads to so many questions about technology. When I see the McDonald's of the world doing doing a self-ordering kiosk, well, that's the fax machine to me. I mean, that's the fax machine. That's the most outdated technology you can use. the TikTok generation have bought the kiosks for us. It's called the smartphone. Have a restaurant speak to them, have the whole guest experience speak to them, and do it on their time, and allow them to control the guest experience with their smartphone. And that's what we did at Brooklyn Dumpling Shop, because now the automat, I've got 3 employees now servicing 700 customers a day. My payroll is 17%. And that's 15 points lower than the industry norm. And now my mission is to make sure that those 7 out of 10 that were going to fail because of payroll, and now let's add the COVID issues, they can't even find payroll. I'm going to try to flip that around where 7 out of 10 will actually not just survive, but thrive, dropping about 15 points to their bottom line using technology. Now that's the sexy part. There's the software for inventory management. Guess what? If oregano prices change tomorrow, before Cisco delivers it or my grocer delivers it, my food cost is adjusted by their admin before the product goes through my doors. And to me, that when we use technology, we're minimizing our payroll. I just spoke at the MERTEC conference. The guy called me a yuppie asshole for stealing jobs. I went like this. I said, "You're absolutely right. Thank you for calling me a yuppie. I'm 54. But let's talk about the asshole part, because I definitely am an asshole. You know what? Because at the end of the day, I'm not stealing jobs. I'm saving jobs. You must have been the same person on the highway of the LIE yelling when the toll booths were removed. When the toll booths were removed, you were probably jumping up and down and saying, those people are going to lose their jobs. But for 3 years now, you've been going 40 miles an hour through that tunnel. How do you feel about that? Or do you want the toll booth to come back, wait a half hour online, give your change, and actually proceed through the toll booth, through the Midtown Tunnel or any bridge crossing? Is that where you want to go? If that's it, you know what? I applaud you for your stupidity.
Thank you. Thank you. Stephen,
Sure.
You're on the flip side of the coin. You're got to be your favorite thing is the membership of your club. How many members are there in the club? And they are the anti-tech. They need touch. How do you deal with that?
Sure. I mean, we're a really small club. We only have about 320 members. I think the brand ambassadors, the club ambassadors is huge, knowing their names, knowing what they want to drink. But I think that's where technology comes in. And I think, I went to Boston College for computer science. I come from a technology background. Everything I do, I use technology. Every single thing I do every day, I use technology. And I'm here ready for technology. When it comes, I don't ever think that robots are going to replace any jobs. I think it's going to bring us into the future. We're already here. I think right now, one thing we did, back when Morimoto on 10th Avenue was open, omakase, we wrote down in the computer every single thing that you ate. So when you came back the second time, you never ate the same thing twice. That's what I started implementing here at the club. And it's something where, yeah, of course, my bartenders know your favorite drink, but do they know if you like fennel? Maybe not. So we started taking notes on your eating habits. Obviously, this is something that technology does really well, where Amazon or Instagram might suggest something that you might want to purchase. And I think it's something where if I get to know you and I get to really forecast what your next, if I know what you ate during the summer, I can probably forecast what you're going to want in the fall, what you're going to want in the winter and the spring. It's going to be a different season, but I can say, okay, if he loved a pastrami sandwich, he's probably going to want this, whatever, melt in the fall. There is more information out there that we know what to do with. I think maybe 5 to 10 years ago, a lot of this technology didn't talk to each other. That was the biggest hole you had in food tech. I get it. Everybody wants to be top dog and everyone's really protecting their own IP. But I think once we get to a level where the technology actually talks to each other, like what Stratus said, if an ingredient cost goes up, his systems are already in place where they're talking to each other. His food cost is already adjusted before he even accepted that ingredient or the product. And that's where I think we need to be on every level, where if you walk into a restaurant, your phone will register that you walked in, and everything that you like, that restaurant might know if you allow them to know, so that way, if they come to you, they don't have to ask you Kettle, Grey Goose, or Tito's. They're going to already know you're a Tito's guy. I think, with privacy in mind, I think technology is not only the future, it's something that instead of fighting it, you really, really got to harness it. And like Stratus said, if his payroll is 17%, that's optimal, right? And like, why would you ever fight that? That's something that I want to be part of. That's something that every single operator wants to be part of, while, and making sure that technology is growing with us. There's the last place I ran, we had 6 people making dumplings on 2 different shifts. If they didn't make 400 every hour, they would get coached, right? And that's something where if everyone takes that technology, you don't have to have that weird, awkward conversation about standing in a room that's 40 degrees, making 400 dumplings an hour, or you're going to get coached, right? And you can add that human aspect back into it and say, hey, listen, let's have you work on something else creative instead of just doing mindless tasks that we can have technology do. So yeah, I'm all for technology.
Yeah, can I just chime in 1 sec, Stephen?
Sure,
I agree.
go ahead.
At first, I wasn't agreeing when he said technology won't take over the kitchen. Maybe not in fine dining, but when it comes to dropping a fryer for 4 minutes, or flipping a burger, like the way the McDonald's brothers laid out the original Speedy Kitchen on a tennis court, it's being laid out right now, where QSR is going to be run at least 50% by robots. Because you know what, the job is just so mundane, it's so repetitious, it's so simple. I have this conversation with my brother who actually runs Pine Tree Golf Club in Florida, Nick Morkhogan, and we have this battle all the time. And he's like, no way am I bringing robots into my kitchen. And it's true. With fine dining, the only technology that I'm really focused on is I'm bringing the automat to my fine dining restaurants where guests don't have to come in. They could come with their flip-flops and just scan their phone like an ATM machine outside and take their food to go. And also the drivers that are not hygiene approved are not coming into my restaurant. They're going to basically, all the drivers now, because we have our network now tied in with all the drivers through Olo, where now all the drivers get a QR code and they pick up their deliveries outside. They don't come in. I don't even want them in the restaurant. So they take it from outside, and I keep the sense around the room and the cleanliness a little bit up, improved by keeping them outside. And that's just joking around, but yeah, the automat to me is also for fine dining, because now you're allowing the consumer to order off their phone, come and scan it like an ATM machine and get out on their time.
Sure. I mean, right now at this club, every single one of our golf carts has GPS. So right now we're pricing out drone deliveries, right? Right now, a lot of the guys are calling the clubhouse saying, I need 4 transfusions, the whole 6. So why don't I have a drone? I don't need a human to drive that drone. I just send them to the GPS of the golf cart, right? And 100%. Each hole can have a landing zone. Right now, I have 2 people at our halfway house. We have a cook and we have a bartender, where if we implemented an automat style, system, that's 2 people that I save on payroll, but not save, but maybe transition. We put them
No. Save.
Okay.
Get rid of those jobs, because what we did now with Pappas, we have the automats are going to be outside. I get rid of those 5 hosts that are stapling bags, allowing for human error, and saying Uber gets this, Rocco gets this, Stephen gets this, Tim gets this. No, it goes from the runner in the kitchen to the back of the automat. They hit done. Once they hit done, the guest gets their text message. Game over. I just took out 5 jobs. Hell no. I want those jobs gone.
The problem, one of the things you're talking to, the job is gone. There are so many people talking about they can't get people to work for them. And what you're doing is you're eating up the mundane job, the repetitive job with a machine. And Rocco, you do a lot with speaking to people who are on diets, your diet, your keto diet. You've got a website that deals with these people. How has technology helped you with that?
Yeah, so I've always been an early adopter. I love technology. I think I wish I have a computer science background, because I'm so it gets so annoying having to ask other people to create these technology packages for you. So Chef Stephen, lucky for you that you have some insight into how this stuff works. There are not enough people out there willing to work to do the jobs that Stratus is talking about cutting. So in effect, Stratus, you're saving the industry. You're not eliminating jobs. What you're doing is you're keeping restaurants open instead of, throwing in the towel, which is happening all over the place. People are just fed up. They're tired of competing for employees, competing for resources, working on razor thin margins. And so they're saying, I'm just going to close the doors. And if you go up and down any avenue in New York City right now, you're going to see half the block is still closed. So bravo to you, Stratus, for adopting new tools, which is what restaurants have done for hundreds of years. Every time there's a new tool available, we bring it in, we use it, we figure it out. Listen, at one point we used to puree vegetables by hand. We didn't use a blender, right? We didn't use electric tools 100 years ago in the kitchen. We didn't have sous vide in 1924, but we're thrilled to have all these tools now because they make things better, more efficient. They make things taste good. So in many cases, technology helps us run the back of the house, helps us do inventory more effectively, more accurately, more efficiently, helps us break out tips, helps us manage hours and payroll. There's so many repetitive, tedious tasks that can be taken over by technology. And I personally welcome all of it and can't wait to see more. Now, in my very specialized field of health and wellness, technology, a lot of people in health and wellness are, computer science background people or West Coast people who are all about the startup, and technology is a big part of their lives already. So we've been using small data from Fitbits and phones to make predictive and prescriptive menus for our clients for almost 15 years now. And I'm working on a fully immersive, fully integrated interface that goes from what the client eats to their blood glucose being monitored remotely, to my system that then tells me what their preferences are, what their current weight is, what their weight loss is per day. I'm looking to integrate an entire system from A to Z that gives me their information and then ends up producing their next menu, which will help them achieve their goals in an even more efficient, faster, and more enjoyable way. Because when I know what a client likes to eat, what they've been successful with, how they're doing with their fat content, bone mass, water content, all these little pieces of data that you get from, Wi-Fi scales, smart devices. It helps me be a better chef, to be honest with you. It doesn't eliminate anything. It actually just expands opportunity.
We got a question from the audience, and it's about feedback. What are you hearing about the feedback with the addition of technology? Stratus, you have one said, and Stephen, you're talking about drones. What do you hear from the people who are going to be using this? Enlighten us.
Just go to I just opened Brooklyn Dumpling Shop in Staten Island, which is really we didn't pick a really good location. I have 4 employees servicing 800 people a day. And you know what? The kids are coming in and they put their hand like this to the greeter. The 60 and overs are like, what do I need an MIT degree to get a snack or get a meal? So it's amazing to see the transformation that we're changing people's buying habits 35 and over, because they have they're just not comfortable with it. But the TikTokers, the generation of 13 to 30, they walk in with their hand in the air when there's a greeter that, hey, first time here, can I show you how we do it? They're like, hell no, I already ordered online and I'm just picking up my stuff and I'm out of here. They don't even, I have 14 and 16-year-old daughters. They don't want to talk to me. They want to be on their phone all day.
Yes.
And,
yes.
And that's the generation we're speaking to. And why not create a restaurant? Why not create a restaurant that speaks to the TikTok generation? Because that's our target audience. But I do get a kick of people my age walking in and they look at the automats and they look at all the stuff going on. They're like, geez, I just wanted to get something to eat. Wow. And meanwhile, they walk out the door until we catch them and say, come on, let me show you how it works. And then they come back 4 weeks later and say they've been here every week. And they go to Chipotle and McDonald's and a Starbucks and they look at the cashier. They can't even look at them the same way. Nice kids, but why am I talking to them? I don't want to do it on their time. I don't want to wait 7 to 10 minutes at a Shake Shack. I want to do it at 5 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I want to pick it up at that minute. And guess what? That order is waiting for you as fast as you can scan your phone, as fast as you're out the door. So the reaction, when you make a customer feel smart, you're going to win. When you get, we're in the reaction business. If you create a huge reaction, guess what? You are going to go viral. You are going to get the first thing they do when they get a big reaction, they pull out their phone. good or bad, that works against you as well. They pull out your phone when they get a reaction. And again, the restaurant business is the reaction business. And that's what we need to do. And what Rocco said before is very true. And I'll add one thing to it about jobs. Every one of those closed stores, 50% of all retail in New York City is run by food. For every hospitality job lost, restaurant institutions came out with this data like 10 years ago. For every restaurant job that's lost, 10 non-restaurant jobs are lost. Think about it. 10 jobs for every one. So yeah, I appreciate those words, Rocco. I'm not trying to take jobs away. We're actually, by minimizing a smaller labor force and a smaller footprint, we're saving jobs. And people don't get that. What do you mean? You said you need 11 people and now you're doing it with 3. I'm saving jobs because those 7 restaurants are not going to close.
Right.
And if you add all the math up, those 7 restaurants closed with 11 people, you're really even hurting your argument. I'm talking about 7 restaurants with 3 employees. So yeah, the math doesn't work when people go against technology. And unfortunately, in hospitality, we've been historically late to embrace technology. You know, and I saw this in '97 with this thing called the internet when I brought the Fulton Fish Market on the internet in '96. They all call me nuts. And I'm saying the same thing now about the metaverse and NFTs. Jump on, because it's totally entangled with the hospitality. We're going to be launching the first NFT private supper club 2 levels below our Times Square location at Brooklyn Shop House. We're launching that in February.
I want to be on the white list. Put me on the white list.
You know, it's what we're doing now is taking NFT and hospitality together. The premium packages of NFTs, we have a car service to and from the airport, a car service to and from your hotel. That's hospitality. You know, let's embrace that thing called NFT and technology and metaverse, and let's get our piece of it as hospitality leaders. But you know, that's, you know, I could keep preaching it, but they look at me with like 2 heads when I say metaverse. You know, put your restaurant on the metaverse and trademark your name. They think I'm nuts, but that's okay. We'll see in 5 years.
So, Stephen, how does this play into what you're doing now?
I mean, I think technology is a huge part of our club. Our average member age is only 41 years old here. Our driving range, we have a full GPS called TrackMan. You have the app on your phone. It tells you exactly how far every single ball that you hit when you're practicing goes, your spin rate, your launch angle. It tells you everything you want to know to make you a better golfer. You know, I think now adding that from the food and beverage side is just going to take it to the next level. There's definitely a lot of members here that would rather, they're on their phones all day anyway, whatever they do for a living, they're always on their phones, right? Our Wi-Fi is connected all over the course. Whether they're entertaining clients or they're on, you know, they're just doing business themselves. It's nonstop, where even if they need a car, so, you know, a lot of the guys have their own cars, they're drivers, but it's something where if they can just have it, that ease and accessibility, they're already part of it. You know, I think bringing that to, you know, staying current, I guess, is just, you know, a huge thing. But I think it's kind of funny that I think all of us have just agreed that technology is the number one thing that we need in our restaurants and kitchens.
Yeah,
Listen, if there's any doubt, let me just give you a small example. When I started my pound-a-day diet, this was what I considered a high-level, high-touch concierge service that was basically, I handheld you through the process personally. I was only able to do about 15 clients a month. And then over time, they started saying, is there a website I can go to? Is there, you know, is there an app? Basically, they kept asking me for technology, because even though they loved the high touch service, and this is an expensive service, by the way. So I always felt the high touch and concierge level of whatever, whenever was justified. Even though they loved that part of it, they wanted technology to interface with. They wanted an app. So my intake form went from me sitting across your, you know, breakfast table asking you questions to a website, poundaday.me, where you fill out information. And then it morphed from that into, I now connect to your Fitbit, to your iPhone, and to your Withings Wi-Fi scale, and I automatically extract data, and you don't even have to fill it in anymore. And this is what's happened in 11 years. I can only imagine what will happen in the next 11 years. People are generally more comfortable doing things on their phone in most cases than dealing with people that they're concerned are not qualified, competent, maybe new, maybe inexperienced. One really good example is paying the check. Who doesn't prefer to pay the check through Toast or some other POS point of sale. When I say POS, I mean point of sale application on their phone. Isn't it so much better to just look up your check, pay it, and leave than have to try to track down a waiter, a manager, get your check, give them the credit card, wait for the credit card to come back? That's an example of 1,000% improvement on an experience. Stratus, I don't know how you feel about that, because you must process 5,000-6,000 checks a day, but I'm sure a lot of people. Do you offer the Toast auto payment?
Yeah, we do the Toast handheld, the auto payment.
Right. Yeah.
Very Apple Pay friendly. That's a chop
People
house.
love that, right?
At Dumpling Shop, 90% of our orders go through that POS system that the kids already bought. It's called the smartphone. They already bought they already bought the kiosk. They already bought, like, I love McDonald's. They have their self-ordering kiosk and they think that's innovative. That's the fax machine. The kids have already bought the kiosk. It's called the smartphone. And I love what you're saying about technology and health. So my blood sugar is a little high, right? And I'm dying to lose 20 pounds. So I put this bit in my arm.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So now
it's used for diabetics. But I lost 20 pounds because of this. I get an alarm when my blood sugar goes over 180 or under or under 60. And as I kept my blood sugar there, I've lost 20 pounds.
And now I have software that can interact with your blood glucose monitor automated. I don't even have to ask you anymore. Yeah,
I love it. And that's where we're going with this. And I've been fighting 20 pounds for 30 years and I finally got rid of it.
You look great, by the way. You look great. And it's not just the camera angle.
Thanks.
Yeah, the monitoring and the technology, 8 out of 10 diets fail because nobody's watching the dieter.
Of course.
And people can't be trusted when it comes to food. I'm on a diet.
I watched you, and I tracked you, and now what I'm saying is people want to. They still want to be tracked, but they want to use the technology. They don't want to text me their weight in the morning anymore. They just want me to look at my reports that come from their devices, their smart devices, like the blood glucose monitor.
It's the Gluten Libra. My doctor logs into this. It's on my smartphone.
Exactly.
And anytime my blood sugar is over 180, I get a little alarm. And guess what? I'm not going to have ice cream that day.
We should integrate it into restaurants. When your blood sugar goes below 60, you get another appetizer.
That's right.
Or something.
That can kill your dessert sales.
Yes.
Oh, great. Let's see where we are. Okay, let's add something new into this. We are talking about that one thing. What do you see as the next one thing? What do you see coming down the road that will take what you're doing now and bring you to the next level? Crickets.
Me? I got the answer. I mean, we're doing vending machines. We're doing dumpling vending machines with fresh bake. We're launching 10 of them. And we came up with a solution for the bars of New York City after these unconstitutional socialistic mandates that were upon us, that bars that do not serve food can't do drinks to go. Well, we came up with a solution. We've got a dumpling machine, a vending machine, and basically it's got 70 SKUs in there. They're in there frozen. Takes 3 minutes. It's like a commercialized steamer in there. It takes 3 minutes. And now every bar that's carrying my new Brooklyn Dumpling Shop vending machine can now serve alcohol to go. That's one issue. The other one, we're doing it with hospitals. We're doing it with everywhere a vending machine goes. Fort Bragg just bought 10 for their military base. So all our franchisees now are picking up Brooklyn Dumpling Shop vending machines. I did it with Fresh Bake. They're out of Florida. We have about 1,000 vending machines in development now. And we're going to be popping them everywhere, from bars to hospitals to office buildings. And basically, it's so simple. It takes 5 items that we're using. And to be fair, it took us 20 items to figure out which works best in this concept. So we got it down to 5 that work really well, mostly pot stickers. And basically, you order from the app, or you order from the vending machine. And basically, we're really creating an excitement here, because it's like better than a food truck, because you don't have the labor.
How many orders can that process at the same time?
Just one at a time. One at a time. It holds 70 SKUs. And we limit it down to five different varieties, 12 each, 12 to 14 each per order. And then what we do for the high volume shops, we'll have a chest freezer and we'll have the packages ready to refill, which the local bar owner can do. And our franchisees are loving it because it's just another residual income and they can stock it from their actual shops.
What about the prep in the kitchen? Do you see using an expanded combi oven type of operation in order to be able to do the prep on it?
No, the prep, we have 3 co-packers that we own. They're about 8,000 square feet each.
Okay.
They've got the Anko machines, and they can produce about 1 million dumplings a day.
Got it.
Amazing.
At Brooklyn Chop House, we do all hand rolled, but those are $3-4 a dumpling. At Brooklyn Dumpling Shop, it's the same recipes, but it's all machine.
Right.
And I got to tell you, I mean, the machines are great. They don't have the sexiness of the imperfections. But, you know, we can't pop out, like I think Steven said before, I can't put them all in the refrigerator and start doing them by hand at 1 million per.
For my
100 maybe, not 1 million.
the dumplings that you provided to me the other day, for God's Love We Deliver, were those machine or handmade? Because
Those are handmade.
because they were spectacular. Yeah. I looked at them and I actually tried to calculate what it would cost to make one. I think now I have some idea.
Yeah, so the French onion, I believe, and was it the pastrami?
French onion pastrami, the pork, and one other. Yeah.
Oh, good. So the pastrami is Pat LaFrida. I mean, the French onion is Gruyere, Swiss cheese. It's real like high-end quality ingredients, and every dumpling with labor cost me over $1.
I was going to say it has to be $1.50. It's just because it's that, and the dumplings used to be the cheap, inexpensive, quick option, right?
Oh, I love that. I get that on Yelp. I could go to Chinatown and get 10 for $3.99. You wouldn't listen. And these
Not anymore,
today,
by the way.
Yeah. Oh, and they do. And I say it's impossible if you're using pork shoulder. If you're using good quality pork shoulder, it's impossible to have that at $3.99 for 10 dumplings. And if you are getting it, please beware of your health.
Yeah.
There's no way you're getting quality.
Cat dumplings. Yeah, it's
Talk about innovation.
yeah.
Thanks.
So, Stephen, you mentioned your next innovation is the golf cart delivery.
I love that, by the way.
So you not only have to invent the device that delivers, you have to make modify that, but you also have to modify the golf carts now, unless they're going to be landing on the roof.
I mean, the way we're thinking about it is each hole will have a drop zone where you'll drive over to that drop, and it just be the tee box. The tee box is a perfect drop zone. You know, no one's heads are down putting. You know, it's not the green. But I mean, even so, right now we're talking to another company. They're using robots to pick up the golf balls on the driving ranges, like your Roomba, right? Like your automated vacuum. Right now, we have a guy that actually went to college, studied to be a professional golf manager, and he's wasting his time driving around a golf cart picking up golf balls, right? That's a huge, and it's also a mental killer for him. He's like, why did I go to Penn State to drive around this golf cart to pick up golf balls, right? And because when you're a kid, you're like, oh, that's the best job in the world. The summertime, put your headphones in, just go pick up golf balls. But when you think about it, every single golf course in the entire world needs to pick up those golf balls, besides the ones that are over water that they use nets. So with these robots picking up the golf balls, it goes back into its little charging area, dumps the balls get washed by another robot, and then you're not wasting that mental capacity of that human that you hired, right? But I mean, I think the same thing right now. The way we deliver food and drink is a human takes that drink from the bar, takes the food from the kitchen, jumps in another golf cart, drives it out to whatever hole they're on, drops it off, and then comes back and then does it all over again. Versus if you just had a drone that we wouldn't even need to literally put a pilot or put a kid with, you would just say, okay, you're going to go to cart 56. There's already a GPS on that cart. It'll drop it off at that. Every single cart has built-in screen. All of our carts have Bluetooth speakers, or you can, Sirius XM, listen to your music. So it will tell you when the food's on its way, just like Seamless or any other delivery service that you're already using. or you just use like Stratus said, every single person has a smartphone. You don't even need to integrate it into the cart. You can integrate it into our own app. There's there's also a million different companies that are willing to make this bespoke. There's a million startup companies in the drone world that are just dying to, you already have the drones are great for cattle. They're great for farmers. There's every angle. As long as you don't live within a no-fly zone, the sky's the limit, literally.
It also goes back to what Stratus said earlier, that you're not eliminating your manager's job. You're turning him back into a manager. He's got to be the highest paid golf ball collector in the universe.
Yeah.
If you have somebody with a degree going around with a cart picking up balls, he could actually do what he's being paid for.
Well, and also, Larry, life used to be you started in the mailroom and you worked your way up. So picking up those balls was the equivalent of working in the mailroom. And I just don't know if we can afford to do that anymore.
Yeah. It's where do you start now? Where do you start in the restaurant industry?
And it's interesting enough, technology is creating jobs that there's so-called naysayers are saying that we're taking jobs because we're using technology. Well, who makes the technology? People. So
That's right. That's right.
It's just ignorant people. The same people, like I said, we shouldn't have home plate umpires. We shouldn't have toll booth clerks, and we shouldn't have cashiers or self-ordering kiosks. Tennis got it right. I'm sick and tired. I'm a baseball fanatic. I'm sick and tired that there's 65, 70% success rate for a whole plate umpire when tennis is 100%. What's the difference? It's technology.
Yeah. It's that human touch that people are scared to let go of. There's been too many movies that show that the automatons are going to take over our world and kill us all.
But that's belied by the fact that there are a billion smartphones out there and people are glued to them 24/7. They're literally walking around like this all day long. So I know people like to say that, but it's not really true.
Hey, Rocco, why do you think they had to put nets up in baseball stadiums? Because so many people were on their cell phones in the first 3 rows and getting hit by foul balls. That's what happened.
Yeah. Watching the game on their smartphone, probably, right? Yeah.
I think
in some cases technology is more trusted than humans in some cases. Yeah.
There wouldn't be a McEnroe. There would not be a McEnroe in tennis if we had technology. Think about it. There's no more fights in baseball, arguments that he was safe at first base. I kind of missed that part of it, but there wouldn't be a McEnroe in tennis if we had technology.
Billy Martin, right?
Yeah.
It takes the soul away from the game a little bit, but hey, don't we want the right call? You want the right call.
Yep.
I mean, watching baseball, I should not know the name Angel Hernandez. I know his name.
I knew this was going to happen.
He's the worst umpire in baseball. I think he's on the tape.
That's not going to be part of the highlight reel.
Not to mention, guys, if there are people out there in our business looking for work who claim that they can't find work, which I would say is preposterous because there's so much work out there. Go to the Google website and become a programmer. You can go to Google College for free and get a $280,000 job after 6 to 8 months of online training for zero cost. So the amount of programmers and people in development needed is something like a negative 500 million people. There's so many jobs in development. So go learn how to do it at Google and then come back to our industry and help us excel with more technology.
Exactly. I like that.
It's what I find, when I introduced Stratus on our website, I introduced him as restaurateur, innovator, and disruptor.
My old Greek father
disruptive or disruptor?
Disruptor. Disruptor. That's it.
Stubborn.
Yeah, and that's basically what it takes. It takes, when the first person who said, let's get drones to deliver food on the golf course, I could imagine the other 8 people in the room giving that person a look like, what planet are you from? You know,
But Larry, that's when you know you have a success, when you have haters and people that say it's never going to work. Because when I don't get that, when I'm thinking of something of a new concept or a new way of doing it, I start to panic. I start to worry. Oh shit, people are thinking this is a good idea. I don't want that. I want
right.
to say this guy's out of his mind, or this idea is never going to work. Those are the
Very
best
few
compliments
good,
you could get.
very few good ideas just slide through. If you
Nice.
think about it, in any boardroom you've ever been in, you didn't say something and everybody said, "Hey, that's great, let's go."
Yeah.
And what it takes is the stubbornness of Estratus or the creativity of Rocco and Stephen, the idea that you're going to grab onto something new and to put your back into it, because that's what it takes. Nothing good ever comes easy. Think about it. Here's let's take some mold and it's going to cure every disease out there. Penicillin. I mean, who decided that mold was a good idea to shoot into your body? But it took somebody to say, hey, connect the dots. And that's what we're getting now with technology. Stratus, I'm closer to the people you're insulting by saying we have no idea what's going on than you. So, I could understand some of that. You just give me a tutorial. Do you work off of an app, or do you work off of a website? What, or both?
I love that question. So we had a few guys from Stanford doing a thing that they're trying to convince me at the MERTEC conference how we're not using an app. I said, everything you can do on your app, I could do on a website. Prove me wrong, because the only thing I'm not doing is taking memory off their phone. Prove me wrong that I need an app. And to this day, no one has convinced me that I need an app and that I should be on your screen taking up your memory off your phone.
So there's a website that you're using.
Yeah. So you go to Brooklyn Dumpling Shop. The first thing you see is order now. You click on that. You click on the location. You order. You pick a time. You pay for it, and you can go to one of any of the locations in 30 states, and you're out.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I can do that. And my nickname is LCD, lowest common denominator. I worked for a tech company once. Didn't know how to do anything. They figured if they could get me to be able to do it, they can get anybody to be able to do it. And that's pretty damn simple, what you just said.
Yeah, and it works because, again, an app takes memory off these kids' phones. And we're dealing with that young age group that, mom didn't get them the $200 plan.
Well, you collect more information if you have an app. You collect more information on the people, and that's what they're after with an app.
So Larry, we're launching this week the first interactive kids meal. So it looks like a McDonald's kids meal, but it's got a QR code. And then Joey Dumplings is attacking all the dumplings and skidding under this and skidding under that. Boop, jumps, he gets a $5 coupon. Jumps, gets a $10 coupon. Whatever. It's a game now that kids can play off with their parents' phone or their phone right off the kids meal. And with that, they punch in their data to receive the coupon. Now I got them.
Oh,
Wow.
Can dumpling characters be far behind? Can a Marvel universe made from Brooklyn Chop House be far behind?
Whoa, I got Joey and Bella Dumplings. It looks like Mr. Met. I'll send it to you on the side. Joey and Bella Dumplings.
Yeah. Okay, listen, guys, we got 10 minutes to go. So we're at that time. We started out talking about that one thing, and the one thing was all over the map until we started talking about technology. So, Fred, do you have something to say, or are you just going okay?
Just going okay.
Okay, we're talking about technology, and technology seems to be that one thing that people are leaning on. So in the last few minutes here, I want to go around the room and give some last impressions. Stephen, if you had something to say to the people who are listening or the people who will be watching this video, what would it be?
Start coding. I don't know. I've never fact checked this, but there was a documentary on Netflix saying that most of the programmers are Asian and white males, right? In the future, that voice of all things that run the future is going to be very skewed from an Asian white male, middle-aged. So what, let's have more, every walk of life, start coding, teach it in preschool, which some do, teach it in elementary school, get it part of the curriculum. I think get them coding and it's not something that's going to go to the wayside. It's just math, right? And it's something that's going to make them stronger, more intelligent. You're going to think more logically. You're going to say, if this happens, then that happens. If bad man comes, run, right? Or fight. So I think it's just encouraging every aspect to accept the technology, but really not only just accept it as a user, become a creator, and in every angle, even the old dogs, you can learn new tricks. You don't need to rewrite Google, you don't need to do anything crazy, but just to understand how coding works, I think is a huge plus side from everyone's day-to-day basis.
Thank you. Stratus.
I mean, to me, it's adapt and change. Never stay complacent. Never think that someone's not going to be there tomorrow and is going to try to bring you down. I'm a poster boy. I've had my roller coasters in the last 20 years. And you know what? It's funny. So I couldn't nail this TikTok thing. I think I'm 54 and the TikTok thing wasn't coming natural like it does on Instagram. So I took my 14 and 16-year-old. I said, guess what? You guys are now the TikTok ambassadors for Brooklyn Chop House and Brooklyn Dumpling Shop. They blew up our TikTok because they're 14 and 16. And the fun part is, as a father, my dad always brought me around his restaurants when I was 5, 6 years old. I wrote a lot about it in my book, Be a Disruptor, but I will tell you, my kids were not interested in the restaurant business. Now they are. And it's cool because I did it through TikTok. And let me tell you something. I got this idea from the Empire State Building. Empire State Building has a 16-year-old doing their TikTok. And that's the way to do it. Adapt, change, and don't say that there's only one model here. You got to think outside the box. And yes, you got to disrupt everything. Everything you do.
Except your house. That becomes expensive.
No, I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay, Rocco.
Yeah, I would say nothing sacred.
Wait.
Go for it, Stratus. Go for it. I love listening to Stratus talk.
When you said disrupt, I've been married twice. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
About disrupting the household? Okay, yeah, 100%.
Okay, good.
Disrupt the household.
Good.
I thought you meant, sorry, Rocco.
No.
No, that's okay. I think in the restaurant industry, we tend to hold a lot of things dear, and we think of things as sacred, and we think of things as the way we've always done them being the right way to do them. And Stratus is living proof that is no longer the case. If there was ever a time to completely transform how you do things in the restaurant industry and in the hospitality industry, now is the time. I think technology is a huge tool in that effort to go from point A to point B, point A being the present and point B, being the future. Technology is going to be an absolute, your best friend. It'll be your GM. It'll be your executive chef. It'll be your back of the house manager. Social media, I'm so glad that you touched on it, Stratus, and I'm not perfect at it, of course, but if there ever was a time to cut your marketing dollars and put it into TikTok, now is the time. TikTok is still dynamic. There's still reception. You can still get eyeballs and views from creative content. It's still democratic. You can still be rewarded for creative, interesting content. That is no longer true on almost every other social media platform, but TikTok still has what I call the last vestiges of democracy. So if you're thinking about getting into TikTok, post 2 to 3 times a day, make it interesting. The way the algorithm works is the most interesting content wins. It's not about your followers anymore. IG was all about your followers, how many people followed you, how many people you knew, how big your circle was. Now it's about how interesting are you, how funny are you, how much do I like viewing your material? And it's brilliant marketing.
Thank you. Fred.
I guess there's 3 words on this. What an amazing panel. Lead, follow, or get out of the way. And what we have here are 3 great leaders. So thanks for sharing your ideas.
Thank you. Just we talk about technology and us older folk moving into it. Has anybody seen the Geico commercials where they have the school?
Can I just say something? Hold on. I'm sorry. I
ahead.
sat next to Jacques Pepin the other night, 87 years old, at a dinner in his honor at the Greenwich Food and Wine Festival. I think you covered that, Fred.
Yep.
In the middle of the night, he pulled out his iPhone and started checking his social, his emails, his cell. The font admittedly was 86. It was huge. You could read it from a mile away.
That's me too.
But Jacques Pepin at 87 has
Yeah.
embraced the iPhone. Anybody can.
And back to that Geico commercial. They show the commercial is all about a class for people who have become their parents.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a good one.
And my wife and I just went on a cruise in the Mediterranean where we ate Jacques Pepin's food. He's the executive chef for Oceania.
That's right.
We ate his food for 10 days, which is wonderful. But for the first time, we had the Delta app. And when the person at the check-in gate said, "Do you want a paper copy?" my wife started to say yes, and I said no.
No, you don't need it.
No, because I kept thinking about that app where everybody copies the internet on paper. So you still end up with reams and reams and reams of paper. What we're doing, you're talking about cost saving. You're talking about making yourselves more efficient and living, there it is, living on the internet. Everything you need is held here. You have everything you need there. And the sooner we all become used to using that, the faster business will pick up. I don't know how many restaurateurs I've heard say, "I could never do that." But then they complain, "I'm short staffed." As a diner, I'm tired of hearing that.
Yeah.
How much longer are diners going to say, "You've raised your prices 5 times in the last 3 years, and you're still giving me the same excuse? I'm short staffed." Find ways to fill those spots, and technology does some of that. System does, and education does a lot more. So go ahead.
Technology also helps you recruit people. And if you look at the apps that are designed to recruit people, they're incredibly effective. Indeed and those Indeeds of the world.
I'll tell you first of all, we retained all our old staff at Brooklyn Chop House downtown. But when I opened up 700 seats in Times Square, I had 130 jobs to fill. I got 985 applications. When I opened Brooklyn Dumpling Shop in Staten Island with my franchisee this week, we're opening one every week now. We get 350 job applications for 5 jobs.
Wow.
I mean, because you know what the kids say most? Because I talk to them. Why do you want to work with us? Because I don't want to work at a cashier type fast food restaurant. Yeah. I love this technology. It speaks to me. I love that the whole thing is controlled by the phone. I want to be a part of this. And that's the best compliment we can get. So what Rocco said and what Larry said, technology is why these kids want to come work for us.
Got it. We gotta draw this to a close. So listen, we'll be back again in 2 weeks with talking about event and catering season. It's upon us right now, and we're going to talk to some pros in the field about last minute tips before you start pushing the food out to people. So listen, only 2 more things to say, or 3 more things to say. I want to thank everybody for coming. You guys were great. And listen, everybody, stay positive, test negative. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank
Bye,
you,
everybody.
everybody.
Bye now.
Thanks,
Pleasure
guys.
to be on the panel with you all.
Thank
Bye
you.
now, guys.